Hi, hello, hey. So, I figured I would just upload a little something. Well, I don't have anyone to talk to right now. I don't have any plans or anything. And I want to get on how hard finding yourself is. I feel like this one's like especially relevant to me because I feel like for a long time I was just staying in people's shadows. And obviously that wasn't a good habit, but I was just so in denial that I wasn't in a shadow that I just kind of convinced myself I wasn't. It was obvious to everyone else I was just blandly copying other people. I think I was so in denial because I was just so uncreative a lot of the time that seeing others' creativity and ways of making themselves happy made me want to copy them because I thought their ways of making themselves happy would be the same ways of making myself happy. I think the hard parts are like after you're not shut up for so long, the hard part's finding who you really are though. You spend all this time in a shadow. It's kind of it's just difficult to find out who you were before that. Or obviously, I was stuck in this phase for a long time. I would honestly say like maybe a year. It was like a year and like 3 months where I was just stuck in the shadow, not realizing who I really was. And obviously, I was really unhappy at the time because I just wasn't finding my own ways to make myself happy. I was just living off of other people's ways to make themselves happy. Honestly, this is a lot more recent of a thing than I would rather talk about. Happened like maybe 2 months ago, I want to say, but I just stopped letting this act get to me. Stopped lying to myself pretty much. I stopped lying to myself and I just tried to find who I am. And obviously that took a long time. Well, not a long time, but it took a while. It's not an easy task finding yourself. And that's kind of what the topic of this is. It's not easy at all. Don't let it discourage you if you're in a similar situation, though. The amount of happiness you'll find being yourself, being confident that that's yourself. That's like a really important part of that. It'll be worth all the hard work. Yeah, it goes without mentioning, but a lot of the reason you aren't yourself is because you're unhappy with yourself. It's usually just a lack of confidence, obviously, naturally. I think just having just a little bit. I'm not asking for the world. Just having a little bit of confidence could fucking change your world, bruh. Obviously, it's not all gonna be perfect, but you shouldn't expect that from yourself. You should never expect like perfection. So this is like one thing I have to tell you: is just stop, stop. Like, yeah, that's literally it. Just stop. Stop trying to be in people's shadows. Just be happy with you. Well, be content with who you are. Just being in that content space can do a lot. Just being able to, you know, admit to yourself, yeah, I don't like this, I don't like that. Rather than if someone else liking it, you having that exact same opinion. Just be honest. Like, that's it. I think a lot of it, at least from my experience, stems from just like being shamed or being bullied from it, from being yourself. But a lot of bullying comes from a lack of resistance, and if you're not really like stopping others from not letting you be yourself, then you're not gonna make much progress in that regard. In a large majority of them, you need resistance. You're not gonna get by with being yourself without resistance. It's not something you're. It's not something a lot of people like to hear, but that's what it is. Once you have that contention with yourself, once people realize that you're not just gonna take what they say about you, you're not gonna take it to heart. You're gonna just be unapologetically yourself. A lot of things will get better then. Obviously, you can't expect everyone to just give up on it then, but you can at least expect better results. And honestly, it just makes you a lot more likable of a person. A lot of it's also just fear, and you shouldn't fear judgment, you should anticipate it. It's something that's bound to happen. And, when it does happen, you want to face it with your chest. You don't want to shrink once you have to face it. Don't want to spend all this time building yourself into who you are just for it to go to waste. Out of fear anger, or anything like that. You don't want all that time to go to waste. You made yourself into the person you are, and that's beautiful. Not only is it beautiful, it's just not something that should be wasted. Sorry for the flashback. Don't have to be like someone that anyone would consider confident. You just have to be confident in your standards. And that reminds me, just stick to your standards. Like, you shouldn't have to exceed your expectations, or you made them yourself. Exceeding your expectations is only nice if you exceed them honestly, if you exceed them ethically. If you're exceeding your expectations, well, just being a completely different person, you're not gonna be happy. Like, hi, I explained this really badly. What I meant to say was the gratification. Well, maybe incense not going to last very long if you do this. Morphing yourself to a completely different person is just that version of you, that version of you that's inside of you. It's gonna suffer in there. You is still inside of you, if that makes sense. Even if you're not being yourself, you is still inside of you. And you shouldn't just ignore it. You should. It's something to embrace, if anything. Of course, I'm not talking to any of you face to face, but if you're being yourself, fuck yeah, dude. You love to see that. It's not something that anyone would dislike to see from themselves. You know, if someone doesn't like you as yourself, then maybe there's not worth your time. You don't have to appeal to everybody. That's the thing. I know it's hard not to. I know it's hard not to want to appeal to everybody, but you know, you're not going to. Yeah, you're just not going to. There's nothing more that needs to be said. Can't please everybody, and it hurts trying to please everybody. Like the one J. Cole bar. Like, you should love that. How I like to see it, just a little version of you inside your heart, and you should love that little version of you. You put it into scale with like everything around you. It seems pretty small because it's just a little version. I mean, it can fit in your heart. The impact it creates is a lot more than that. I think that impact can make or break who someone is. And I feel like a good step, just like a baseline, open your eyes, like, just to the world around you. It genuinely will change everything. And that's not easy to, like, cut the pieces that make you not yourself. Especially if it's a person, like, it's not at all easy to just get rid of somebody. Or not get rid of them, but per se, but, just not talk to them, cut contact. If they worsen the best version of you, then they don't deserve the best version of you. If they are to blame for making you worse, they don't deserve you. That's what I mean to say. If you're not yourself, you're not gonna be happy. At the most, your happiness will be temporary. Where you find yourself the most content is just being yourself, not living in a shadow. Living in a shadow, a lot of the happiness is just, it's not. Share the gratification's distant, but it goes away really fast. Obviously, I can see why I've done it myself. Use the gratification of not having to deal with your problems. Or, well, to an extent, not having to deal with your problems. I think that alone, just not being yourself, it grows a lot of hatred in your soul. You're not gonna hate the world around you, because, you're not being yourself, you're not around the world that you want to be around. You're in somebody else's world. You're living in somebody's shadow. And obviously becoming yourself when you're in that stage, it's not something that happens instantly. You have to take small steps to get there. You have to get a start somehow. If you can acknowledge the problem, you can take steps to fix it. At least when it comes to this context. I think when you're in the stages of becoming more yourself, your heart starts to mend a little bit. Become a little bit happier. The more you take steps towards becoming yourself, the happier you'll become. Just check the circle around you before anything. Make sure you're happy in that circle and you're not just pretending to be. Like, it's fun, but you have to balance having fun with being happy. If you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with much of anything. And like I mentioned it earlier, but a lot of the reason people do is instant gratification, which, it's nice and all, but it doesn't last very long. It doesn't have to be instant. It can just be long lasting. I'd take that over instant gratification every day. And again, it's gonna be really repetitive, but just baby steps. Like, that's really what it is. Take baby steps. Shouldn't expect to do everything at once. Don't set extreme standards for yourself. That's another part of becoming yourself. Set the standards that you know are fair for you. Because, you're not like a superhuman. Like, you're not gonna achieve everything all at once. You have to take small steps to get there, and that kind of goes with everything. Oh my god, I'm on floor 10. Holy, I had barely enough time. But yeah, moral of the story, just be happy. Stop trying to live in the shadow. It seriously doesn't bode well.